Hi, everyone. My name is Denise Morales, and I have a special edition for us today. Something wonderful that my community brought to me, and I was like, we need to highlight this. We need to give a mental health check-in with our artists and our musicians that are out here grinding every single day to make their dreams work. And so I have a special guest in my seat with us today, and I want to introduce him to you. Who are you?
What's up, world? Thank you so much for having me, Denise. My name is Yung Blax. I'm an independent music artist from Pasadena, Texas.
Nice. And so this is awesome. One of our very own Houston-based artists here in our seat. And I never thought I would get to this point. I'm having my own little girlfriend here. But
Don't
tell
make me
us,
blush.
oh my gosh. So tell us, what brought you into this industry? What inspired you?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I was always around music from a very young age, being around my uncles, being around the environments that I grew up in. Everybody was listening to Tupac, NWA, Biggie Smalls, UGK. So I always just was just always around music, and I was always very intrigued by the lyrics and the stories that a lot of these rappers told. And I would say like my main motivation was I was maybe like 8 years old when I first came across DMX. He had a song called Slippin', and I came across that video, and I could relate to so much of it from him talking about growing up without a dad and just like, being lost in the streets. And ever since then, I was like, you know what, I want to write music.
Yeah.
And so,
And a lot of people think that music is just what you hear, the beat, the rhymes, like the bars that they're throwing down. But there's so much of it that's also very therapeutic.
Exactly.
How has music impacted your life when it came to that therapeutic sense?
honestly, to tell you the truth, it's been very impactful in my life. A lot of people have outlets, right? They have outlets
Right.
whether they go to the gym, they go running, talking to somebody. Music has always been my outlet, right? Among other things, music has always been the more positive outlet for me, and it's always been very therapeutic. So whenever I couldn't find the words to tell to somebody face to face,
Right.
because I've always had a problem talking about my issues. So like how you and I are talking right now, I always had problems talking about my issues like that with somebody, but it came like second nature for me just to put it down on paper and put everything down in a music format. So
That's awesome. That's great. And I'm happy that you have found a healthy outlet because we know that we have so many avenues that we can choose in this life, and choosing one that is less damaging to our soul
Exactly.
is so important.
yeah.
Out of your journey, because I imagine that you've written a lot of songs and composed over the years, what has been the most impactful one to you?
Oh man, there is a lot, right? Because it's hard for me to choose just one because every single song that I write comes straight from the heart, right?
Okay.
And so I would say at this moment in time right now, I would say a song called Give Your Life that tells the testimony of me and my younger sister growing up. For me, growing up, not knowing a father, leading up into my transition, going to prison, and then, me becoming a reformed man, and then also speaking about my sister's testimony about what she went through growing up. And I would say one more song that is unreleased right now that people will hear this Saturday at the backpack at the school supply giveaway.
Y'all be there.
Yes, it's a song called Letter to My Queen. And I don't even mean to like brag or boast, but that's gonna be like the modern day Dear Mama. Yeah.
Ooh, and
That's
I
gonna be
love
the
my
modern
dear
day.
mama, and that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And what's interesting that you mentioned that song. My mom only speaks Spanish, and me and my brother, we put on Dear Mama on
Yes.
Mother's Day. We're rapping it to her, but she don't know what any of it means. But it goes to show that it can be impactful and it can transcend even language
Exactly.
barriers. There's so much people that can show a lot of love in hearing your passion, hearing your tone, hearing the kind of words that you're using.
Exactly.
And with your music, who do you hope to inspire?
Anybody and everybody who needs inspiration. I don't care. Primarily, my main focus would be the kids, right? The youth. But honestly, to tell you the truth, just as many lost kids as there are in the world, there's that amount of lost adults in the world too. So I'm not biased. I want to inspire anybody who can be inspired by my music because giving my testimony, and whether through my music or talking to people personally, I've had everybody from young kids to people that are older than me tell me that I'm an inspiration. And that's not that's not boasting on my end. That's just, just being honest, right? The dialogue that we're having. So I just want to inspire anybody that needs it.
Thank you. And I know it's a lot of work to be in this position where we kind of expect for you to be inspirational. We expect for you to be charismatic and put on a face and always be the most uplifting spirit in the room, but we don't see what happens behind closed doors.
Yes.
What happens behind those closed doors that we don't see from our artists?
A lot of sacrifice, a lot of lack of time with family, right? If you're serious about pursuing your music career or pursuing in any career, in general, but especially music, you're gonna miss a lot of time with family. For instance, me, I travel for work, so I'm always out of town. Like the last going on 2 years, I've probably been home no more than 3 months, and
Wow.
that's in spurts, right? Holidays, birthdays, maybe a week off here and there. So anytime I fly into town, I have dinner, brunch with the family, chill out, maybe while I have a little movie night. But after that, every single day, all day, every day, I'm out. I'm doing visualizers, I'm doing music videos, going out to clubs, promoting, just doing whatever I can to get as much content and keep my name relevant in the
Right.
music industry, right, to my fans and supporters. Because in every single state that I go to, I'm not always going to run into photographers. It's going to be hard for me to run into producers. Not every state has a big music scene like Houston. So when
That's
I
true.
fly in, I got to take full advantage of it. So I would say a lot of lack of time with family. I would say a lot of it comes with the territory, right? But I would say a lot of everybody wanted something from you, right? Like everybody wants to offer you some kind of service as an artist, and they want money, whether they're offering you something that's genuine and
Right.
authentic, or whether they're offering you something that's a scam, but they're just making it seem sweet,
Yeah.
up front. Everybody wants something from you. Nobody's gonna hand you anything for free or say, you know what, I like your movement or I like what you got going on. Let me help you out. No,
And
everybody wants something from you.
And I can imagine with having to learn that you have to protect yourself. In essence, you are guarded in some type of way. So how is that for you having to walk around and have this discernment of protecting yourself?
Yes. Honestly, to tell you the truth, it's all about trial and error. Like throughout the years, I've been scammed plenty of times by people offering services, signed contracts and couldn't get out of those contracts because I signed it, right? But I didn't know how to read the fine print and discern the letter, the wording in those contracts, right?
Right.
So
They're not
it's
meant for us.
exactly right. So I had to. It really comes with a lot with trial and error, but then also to tell you the truth, it all comes with you just trusting that gut instinct, right? I've learned over the years to just trust your gut instinct. No matter look beyond the smile, look beyond the sweet words, look beyond all that, and not only that, test everybody. Like
Yeah.
go to their pages, go to their social medias, reach out to people.
Everything's out in the public now,
Yeah,
yo.
exactly. You know what I
Can't
mean?
hide.
And see what this person is really about. If they got a good reputation with whoever they say they got a reputation with, go and ask them. Don't just take them for the word, right? And a lot of times as artists, we get so caught up in the grind and like, man, we would just want to make it that we're willing to take something up front or take somebody's word at face value because it sounds so good. But at the end of the day, it's very bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the work you do is very sacrificial. It's sacrificial. You mentioned like the time with your family, the time with your friends, and I imagine the time with yourself. How do you make space for you? And how do you know when you need to take that space for you? What does it look like?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, me and a buddy just spoke about this while I was getting my haircut. I honestly don't get a lot of that time for myself. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to just step back and say, hey, you need a break, or hey, you know what, you're doing a great job, keep it up. Because when you're the one that's pursuing something, you always have it in the back of your mind of, I need to be doing
I
better
need
or
to.
I can be doing more. No matter what everybody else outside of you sees, you always feel like, you know what, I need to be doing more or I could be doing better. And so I never really just get the opportunity to sit there and say, you know what, I need a break because I work 6 days a week at my job. And on
Right.
that one day, I'm
The
out
one
getting
day off.
that one day off. I'm out,
It,
I'm out getting live
well,
content with like, I got a buddy of mine in Nebraska. His name is Carver Jones, great young man. We go out every Sunday and we get live content with him playing the guitar and me doing my songs, doing live sessions. So
well,
yeah, it's very hard, right? Is it needed? Yes, it is needed.
yeah.
Every once in a while, I'm like, you know what? Let me go get some brunch, maybe early in the morning, and then after that, I'm getting some
Right.
content, right? But other than that, I mean, that's a sacrifice that you're talking about. What you want to do is nothing compared to what you need to be doing, right? Because everybody in the world is doing something that they want to do, but not everybody's doing something that they need to do to pursue their dreams. So it's very few and far in between that, you know, I as a person and an individual get to say, you know what, let's take a break.
Right. And I can get that too. It's an ongoing journey. And I think that's something important to understand about mental health. Sometimes we think it starts here and it ends here. Oh, like if I just take this pill, I'll be fixed. But that's not how it works. And sometimes finding the moment to stop is hard to do when you've been conditioned to go, go, go.
Exactly.
And I even think about like family work ethics or your personal work values and ethics. Even sitting down for me for 2 hours for some time, I felt uncomfortable just sitting there. I'm like, I'm wasting my time. I could be doing X, Y, and Z. Although I don't want to do X, Y, and Z.
You feel so unproductive, right?
I feel so unproductive. But then I realized if I don't ever give myself space, then I'm going to end up burning out. I'm going to end up feeling like I didn't connect with myself. I didn't connect with my family. I didn't connect with my friends. And so sometimes it's just even taking it slower because then we rush eating. We rush taking a shower. We rush putting on clothes. What if I didn't rush eating this meal and I enjoyed it, pay attention to the flavors, taking those smaller steps to kind of recenter us and let us be here. But you're putting on this event. And so what is the purpose of this event that we're going to be participating in?
The purpose of this event is just to give back to those in need, right? And just, you know, promote inspiration in our communities. A lot of times in our communities, there's nobody really giving inspiration or motivation, right? People will post videos on Instagram or Facebook and post a motivational video or, you know, maybe put some inspirational quotes, but who's really going out there and putting in the legwork to actually bring the community together, give back to those in need, and, you know, and help others in the process, right? So the idea for this really started during my time of incarceration. I was in prison and I saw a lot of young brothers that were coming in and they were younger than me. Maybe some may be the same age, but they were just barely getting locked up while I had already been gone for years, right? And so all I kept hearing in the music was when I went to prison, I didn't know what ops were. You know what I mean? Like when before I got locked up, we didn't have the word op. You know what I mean? Like they were either your enemy or they were like, you know, that's
Friend
a
or
buster.
foe.
Yeah, that's a buster right there. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's just like or the other side. But I didn't know what op was, and then we didn't use the word spin back then. So I would always hear these young brothers rapping and always op, spin, and stick. I'm like, well, what the hell's a stick? You know what I mean? Like before I got locked up, we called it pole. You know what I mean? Or a burner. And then, but that's all I heard rapping, and it's just like, and it's not to be hypocritical, right? Because I went to prison for aggravated robbery, so I know what it is to go out there and play with pistols, right? But being in the position that I was trying to change my life, and then hearing these young brothers like all they talked about was playing with pistols, you know what I mean? And like they, you know, like there was no remorse about anything that they were rapping about or talking about. And so it was just like, man, when I get out, like I want to start an entertainment label that is dedicated to people who, you know, they love to make money, do it in the right way. They love good music with substance, and they're all about chasing their dreams. So I was in my cell one day and I just like, man, well, you know, money, music, and dreams. If just simple. Money, music, and dreams. I started drawing out the logo on my little folders throughout the years, you know what I mean? And I came home and I went ahead and got it drew up, and this is the Money, Music, and Dreams logo right here on the shirts.
Here you go, guys.
You know what I mean? So these will be for sale at the day of the event and beyond that. But yeah, so just, you know, throughout the years and then 4 months ago leading up to the event, I was like, man, you know what? Like, what better way to promote myself as an artist and get my name out there in my community and let people know who I am and what it is that I'm about, you know, other than, you know, what's better than me not only promoting my music, but also promoting, helping people and putting it together.
Right.
So I was like, man, let me do a back to school giveaway because it's something that I've always wanted to do, you know, give back in multiple forms and ways, right? And from living in shelters growing up, I was just like, all I want to do is help people when I grow up in some way, somehow, right? So I was like, well, there's no better way to promote myself and my music and help others, and then other than just putting it together.
Right.
So I put those together, and I started calling around and started asking people who wanted to be sponsors and who would like to be involved, and one thing led to another. And now here I am with you. I got in contact with you and Derek, and here we are doing this interview.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And people like to say that, you know, when we think about mental health, we're like, our feelings, our emotions, X, Y, Z, but we fail to realize that mental health is really like an onion to me, because you pull back the layers that make you you, and it's your support system, it's your finances, it's the way you were raised, it's the way your family was impacted, how you were impacted by life, and all of that combined is part of your mental health and your mental wellness. And now you're getting to a point where you've transcended and you transform into different parts. And I feel like that's important about people. You sometimes get fixed on like, well, this is what I know him to be, and this is who I know him to are, so why would I support him? But we change as people.
Exactly.
And so how do we support that evolution of people? It's by getting to relearn this person.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? And what's so sad about that is that some people like you as the OG, right? Some
I
people
like you
you
better when you were hanging with me.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and that's sad, man, because, you know, like over the years of, you know, incarceration, being out, like a lot of the people that I hung out with back then and, you know, talked to, used to, you know, do whatever I used to do with, like, we don't even talk anymore. You know what I mean? Like my whole circle, the small circle that I do have now, or people that I met throughout the years that I work with, or that I've come to, you know, just know somehow, some way, whether it be through music or whatnot, right? But nobody in my circle right now is really anybody that I grew up with and, you know, really know personally for, let's say, 10, 15, 20 years, right? So, but a lot of people, man, they actually like you better whenever you were, you know, being an OG and out there, you know, being a rascal and a hoodlum, right?
Yeah.
But that's great that you said that, because a lot of times people, they have that fixation on who you used to be and they refuse to accept who you are now, right? Whether because they don't like it because it highlights something that they're not doing in their life, or because they think it's all a facade, right? Oh, he's capping.
Whatever. He's just doing that for the money. He's just doing that
you
for
know what
this.
I mean? And, you know, so it's just like, and honestly, to tell you the truth, can nobody say I'm doing it for the money at this particular moment or ever, because at this moment, I don't make money off my music. I don't make money off of anything that I'm doing. So if anybody
Even this is straight passion.
you know what I mean? So if
Straight
anybody
passion
had that
love.
notion, it's just like, dude, I do this for free. Like I put my own money, I put all my blood, sweat, and tears into this, right? One day I will make money off of this, but that won't be the root cause of why I do it, right? It's just an after effect of what happens.
Yeah,
You end up
because
making
you
money off of it.
dedicated.
Yeah.
Because you sacrificed, because you poured in. Now you get
Exactly.
to reap the benefits that were meant for you. Look at
Exactly.
you.
I like
This whole
that.
discernment. That's great. That's great, though. This journey is definitely not easy. And what is something you would tell your younger self?
Oh man, there's a lot. There's a book worth of what I would tell myself, but I would say slow down. Stop trying to keep up with everybody else. You are worth more than what anybody else can tell you. And you are greater than what you can ever imagine. There's greatness inside of you that you don't realize yet, or you may not ever realize, right?
Yeah.
But you'll realize it in spurts. You know, it'll come out and you'll wow yourself every now and then, right? And stop being so angry all the time. I used to be angry, you know what I mean? It's just I was a very angry young man. You know, no matter how much I smiled and made other people laugh or smile, like there was just always just like this inner just anger that I had just towards the world and everything else that was going on in my life. You know what I mean? So
And you said inner anger, and that's an interesting expression of anger, because sometimes people think it's verbal, it's physical, it's outward, but sometimes when you deal with anger within yourself, it's pent up and you're waiting for that release, and sometimes that release happens on your own, not even towards anybody. And it's an ongoing struggle. And so what has helped you over that time?
honestly, to tell the truth, it's self-evaluation and reflection, right? You mentioned earlier that mental health is like onions, right? You peel back the layers. My analogy is always like, my analogy that I always like to use is that a lot of times in life, we focus on the branches instead of the root. You know what I mean? You cut the branches off a tree, the tree is still a tree, it's still standing, it's still there. You can cut it down to the stump, the root is still there. You know what I mean? So during my time of incarceration, I really had the opportunity to sit back and really evaluate myself and like, where does this anger come from? Where does it stem from? Like, okay, yeah, that made you mad, but why did it make you mad? Like, what triggered that emotion for you to even think of that as a bad thing, right? And so I just had the opportunity to look back at everything in my life growing up, from abusive childhood, living in multiple shelters, not having my dad, the things that I saw growing up around my family, the things that I saw growing up, running the streets, being wild. And so I mentioned I have inner anger, right? So there was a lot of inner anger that I had towards myself. It was always because I knew that I wasn't living up to my potential. I didn't
So
know
like
what my
frustration.
yeah, frustration, right? Like, man, I know I can be better, but for some reason I'm not pursuing it. You know what I mean? Living up to it. But it also transcended into outer anger, which, that anger led me to sell drugs, rob people, do the bad things that I did out there in the street. So it was inner that transcended outward. And so I just had to just a lot of self-evaluation and reflection. And a lot of times people don't like to do that.
Yeah.
They
It's
start
uncomfortable.
yeah, it's
Dealing with
very,
yourself is uncomfortable.
very uncomfortable, right? And I say in one of my songs that'll actually be performed at the event on Saturday is the greatest threat to self is the person looking in the mirror. Like so many times we think the outside world and everybody around us is our greatest enemy. We play the victim because everybody, they're the black. And I used to be very bad at that. I used to come home and my mom would be like, oh, I got a call from your teacher that you did this. And I swear I would,
You
oh,
tripping.
well, so-and-so was doing this. And she was always telling me like, why do you always have to bring up what somebody else was doing? Be your own leader. It doesn't matter what everybody else is doing around you, right? And so a lot of
I'm
times
sorry, mama.
yeah, for real, right? Sorry, mom. We look at the outside world and everything else is that like as if everything else and everyone else is to blame for whatever
Yeah.
it is that we're going through, right? And even if other people or other things are factors, we are the ultimate factor in the decisions that we make,
Yes.
right? So
And that is really hard to separate self from others, and sometimes the pressures of life that happen is like, yeah, this person could have influenced me, but at the end of the day, I had the choice. I had the choice to wake up. I had the choice to brush my teeth. I had the choice to get in the car. I had the choice to pick up that phone call. You had the choice. And sometimes we do have that internal instinct of like, man, I already know what I'm getting myself into. And we choose to ignore it.
Exactly.
You even choose to ignore yourself. But that's good. That self-evaluation is really a point where then you get to see, where did I go wrong with that? And as you were talking, it kind of reminds me of a therapeutic process that happens in therapy. It's called cognitive behavioral therapy, because how you think about it then makes you feel some type of way, but then you act on it. So if I'm
exactly.
thinking I'm scared, then I feel anxious, and then I walk out on that fear.
Exactly. Like they say, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? Because how you think is going to cause an inward emotion, which is going to cause an outward reaction. So it's amazing how all that stuff just falls into line.
It's all interconnected, and really, when you choose to ignore it, you're choosing to ignore yourself.
Exactly.
Ignore yourself, care for yourself, and really not even transcending, because you just become comfortable. This is the way I am. You'll never grow.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's something that, like I even tell like close family members and close friends of mine, like you just mentioned, that's just who I am, right? A lot of times we get so caught up in, whatever characteristics or like personality traits or, things that beset us or things that hold us back. We get so comfortable in those things and we're okay with those things because we look at everybody else around us and we have the nerve to say, oh, well, at least I'm not like this person or at least I'm not doing this, right?
I'm still deflecting myself.
Exactly, right? And I tell people all the time, like it's what you're good at or where you're good at, that's cool. Leave that alone. You're good at that. There's no reason to work on that. Come over here on all these other things that need to be worked on and better yourself, right? But if you're constantly looking at everybody else, oh, well, I know I do this, but at least I don't do that, or at least I'm not like that person. And but you're never gonna fix yourself because you're comparing yourself to everybody, right? And comparison is what? The thief of joy. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, and also, comparison is not only the thief of joy, but it's also like the anchor to self growth. It's gonna hold you back. And so I tell people all the time, man, it's just like, and I tell myself that. Let me rephrase it. I tell people and I tell myself that stop comparing yourself, bro. Wherever you're bad at, that's what you need to work on, and then continue to become better. And like you said earlier, it's very uncomfortable to face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The real you and what is holding you back and what's ugly about you.
Yeah, and that's a ugly fault to take, of like, what's ugly about me, because that ugly part of us hurts somebody. It hurt me, myself, it hurt my friend, it hurt my mom, it hurt X person. And then you gotta self-forgive and then sometimes do reparations.
Exactly.
And so now you're having to go backwards for all the consequences that you got based on your actions and decisions.
Yeah.
It's a hard journey, y'all, and it's only one step forward, and it's a continuous process that you have to continuously think about, of like, how do I make myself whole? How do I make myself happy? Because different seasons of your life are going to call for a different version of you.
Exactly. Constant adaptation. Constant adaptation. Yeah.
This is true. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
sitting
you.
here with us and getting a little bit uncomfortable
Yeah.
together. I appreciate
sure.
it and I
Thank you so
enjoy it.
much.
Is there anything you want to tell our audience before we leave today?
As y'all well know, my name is Yung Blax. Y'all can follow me on all platforms at Yung Blax MMD.
Already.
I'm just somebody who raps. I'm a regular human being. I love to help others. I love to see people smile, and I get fulfilled by helping others. I'm not perfect by all means. And I hope to see you on Saturday, August 3rd, 2 to 7 p.m. Gravity Lounge, 802 Winkler, South Houston, at the Up Close and Personal Concert and School Supply giveaway.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Denise.
Woo!